pelican with some very soft mangoes. A closet full of skeletons and terry cloth Kangos.
Hey guys, Mango here. Yeah, so before I get in this video, when I was recording with the software that I normally use, for some reason it decided, hey, today I'm going to record in 25 frames per second instead of 60, which I didn't tell it to do, and it still did it, and I already recorded the whole video before I realized. So yeah, man, sorry about that, but this video is not like that long or anything, or like that crazy, so hopefully it's not that big of a problem. But yeah, enjoy. And I'm sure you saw the title or whatever, has Dued1 Fix Building. And you might be thinking either A, you know about this topic already, or B, you don't really know. So let me educate you a little bit. So after the update rolled out, which was as of recent, I'm fairly certain it was only like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we had an update rollout, and it was the biggest build update we've gotten in a long time. We got a new UI, we got new things we could test out, new things we could do, blah 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 blah, right? There were problems with it, some considerably bad problems. One of them being that when you go in C mode, or the hide mode as I like to refer to it as still, you wouldn't be able to switch between objects without it exiting the hide mode. The blocks wouldn't stay. The paint, you couldn't repaint things while in hide mode. It was just a chaotic mess, is a good way to put it. Like, stuff worked, and it was really cool to test the new products of additions that he added to the game, but some of the other stuff that he had implemented made it impossible for builders in general to continue building. Maybe if you weren't as advanced with it, it wasn't that big of a problem, but a lot of the people in my community, or people that I know closely, were definitely struggling and were letting me know that they would not be touching their houses because they were really scared that they weren't going to be able to build what they had built prior, right? So, what were these problems and how have they been fixed? I'm not going to go over every single update. I can read it over real quick on screen for you here. He fixed the estate trim painting bug. I didn't even know that was a thing, but yeah, sure, cool. Fixed length, width, transparency buttons on mobile. I did know that was a thing. That's good for mobile people. Once again, hidden furniture will no longer reappear when placing a new item down. That is huge. That means that when you're in hide mode, you can switch your objects. That way you're not stuck to one. It was very annoying. You couldn't build custom furniture because if that furniture required more than one object, you couldn't build that other object in the hide mode. You were screwed, essentially. And it made it very hard to line anything up, especially if you used other things to rebound off of, such as signs or posters. All mailboxes can be knocked over with a supply truck. Okay, cool. Little bug. Fix painting issues with the new car on Speedboat. That's pretty cool. He didn't have to do that, but it's very nice to see that because a lot of people were like, why can't I paint this and that, you know? It would be cool to see this happen with a lot of the objects that can't be colored in the game. It's clear that he can fix this issue. This is evidence of it right here, in my opinion. Dump discounts are fixed. A lot of people were complaining about that, like way more than I thought would ever complain about this. It seemed like more people were concerned about this than the building problem, which is quite funny, but it might be because people genuinely didn't know about the issue, and maybe only people that were really into building knew about it. Fixed floor and ceiling. I know a friend of mine had an issue with this. I'm glad he got to that as well. Can hide outside furniture, untested, which means there's probably bugs with it. That is nice though. Took down Halloween decorations. Okay, so the Halloween stuff is over. Also, interesting thing to note here that I found out a couple days ago. If you try and sell your pet from the Halloween event, which is very limited by the way, it actually gives you a price. You can legitimately sell this pet. I don't know why you do that. It's only 9,000 coins. It's really not worth it for something that's limited in my opinion, but it's doable for some reason. So let's get into the good first before we crush it with the bad that there still exists. Obviously there's definitely way less of it. Dued1 is doing an insanely good job at making sure that this update is perfected to its finest degree. And I think that's really important, especially as a creator of a game. The community sees that, and I think they greatly appreciate it. Like, no joke. Okay, so what's good? Well, if you wanted to create an object that required two things, okay, let's make the mannequin for my build ideas video, right? So if I wanted to create this mannequin, it requires this, okay, which is grid locked. So we'll just put it like right here. Let's take 2 of these, so we can go in hide mode. And obviously none of this is going to prove anything yet. So let's place our lamp, which is the bottom part. Now let's say I wanted to place this other object on the top part here, right? So you can actually switch to it and it doesn't disappear. So if I wanted it here, I could place it here. Obviously, guys, don't follow what I'm doing. This is not the right spot. It's not supposed to actually be there. But if we press Q and we go and press C again, it reappears. And now if we color all this so that we can see it a bit better here, as you can see, it is all one object now, which is good. Like, we can actually line stuff up where we need it to be. And let's say we wanted this to be one more down, well, we can always use the posters or other objects to rebound off of, because now we can place other objects. Another common problem was, let's say you wanted this clock to go here, right? But it'd be really hard to paint this again, right? Like, it might be hard for people to paint it. So if you were to switch to your paint, it would put you back in show mode, which was horrible because some people had difficulties painting the objects. Well, it looks like we can do that now. So if I wanted this white, I can paint it white. And I can even go ahead and change my material to make it not glossy anymore. It's very, very cool. I think this is going to open up a whole new world. And now I can actually start making a build ideas video again. Besides that, just by the way, if you're anywhere in this menu or walking out of your house, it will not even come back whatsoever until you hit C, which is actually really, really cool and highly underrated. I think, like, this is so refined compared to how it was before, it's not even funny. Now let's get into the bad, right? A huge problem that people are complaining about, I never really had this problem, but other people definitely have. Let's say you wanted this to go here, right? But you wanted this to sit right here. You press the C mode and you put it where you want it and you press it again. See how it went back up? Even though it's supposed to be there, it went back up, or it even goes to the side like that. People said it used to stay, which I know it used to stay. I do remember that. It's just I never really used it, but I guess it actually was a lot more important to people than I thought it was. So I'm hoping that maybe he fixes this. This is obviously not, like, probably his #1 priority right now, but because you can always do this to remember where it goes, and then, you know, you've got it in the right spot. But it's just something to consider, obviously. Now, one thing I do not like that much is that with this new build feature, it makes it really hard to get stuff how you used to put, like, okay, so let's say I wanted this to sit next to this dojo shelf. Well, I could have easily just went like this and put it there, right? But now it's so attached to stuff, it makes it hard for it to actually go where you want it. Notice how it's not staying to its single grid anymore. It's literally doing whatever the hell it wants, and there's no way to really measure it. You would think if it were in the grid mode, that it would stay in the grid mode, and then when you get it off the grid mode, it would start doing that, but it doesn't work like that, and it is a little bit of a problem. Obviously, in this case, I can just rebound off the back here and do that, which works perfectly fine. Now it's straight the way you want it. But this means there's going to be a lot more rebounding required for builds instead of just simply connecting the objects to each other, which actually could make certain builds that I have in my backyard right now impossible because they require symmetry or similarity in measurements, if that makes sense. It's going to be really hard to consistently do that, especially if these objects cannot sit diagonal either, because the only other objects I could sit or give a diagonal path were the church podium and the record player prior. Obviously there's more now, but those used to be the ones where you could rely on the grid, and you can't really rely on that anymore. It's so random now that I'd argue to get exact measurements on anything that is a diagonal angle might be rather difficult now. But who knows, we adapt, you know, as builders we adapt to things, so I'm sure we'll find ways around it, ways to do things. But as of right now, this is really a step in the right direction. Stuff is flowing a lot nicer. It's overall just way better. And part of me wonders if this would have even happened if it wasn't for us as a community. Like, a lot of us stepped up. We talked about it. Dued1 acknowledged it. He acknowledged it multiple times, but I really tried to push it forward. I was letting them know, I'm like, dude, this needs to get fixed. Like, there's people that aren't going to be able to build anymore. I'm going to struggle with building. It's just different. And if it's too different, it's gonna make things very, very hard. It would just make it impossible to build anymore if this wasn't fixed. So yeah, it's very cool that I think a lot of us really did come together for this one. He's got his eye on the community, and I think we're doing a good job making him feel like there's something more to it, you know? If that makes sense, obviously. I could just be rambling on. Don't think into it too much, guys, seriously. Oh, also, this is buggy too still. Some of the objects on the outside of the house especially don't save their data, so it just kind of reverts back to what it used to be before. A simple relog will fix this problem, no biggie. But yeah, it's a little interesting. It's really only these objects too. These ones haven't had this issue, so I don't know. Very weird. But yeah, this is just going over the little mini update that was released, and maybe some more context to what's been going on, why it's a pretty big deal in the building community right now to have this feature added again, and how it will affect us going forward. And maybe if he's watching, he can figure out that there's still a little bit of problems with it, but again, it's pretty well polished at this point. I'll see you guys in the next one.